is the only internet company that offers a price lock for life on gig-by-gig residential fiber internet at $69.95 per month. You can't control most costs, but you can control the price of your internet. Sign up by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. With over 8 hours a day of agriculture programming weekdays and 2 hours on Saturdays, WTIM AM, FM, and online is your ag information station. Listen by tuning in on air or online and listen to WTIM Ag Podcasts anytime.
Your information station, WTIM.
And you're listening to the WTIM Morning Show here on WTIM, your information station, brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman, and our guest in this segment is Brett Zerfowski, Public Relations Specialist with Central Cremations Center. And Brett, first and foremost, how are you this morning, sir?
I'm cold.
I am very cold, so I'm appreciative of you saying so, and it's only going to get worse for us in this next day. And Brett,
I wonder if the kids will be in school tomorrow. You know, they're kind of pulling back on a lot of the fact that kids either can do e-learning days or just take a day off because it's cold. We didn't get that privilege whenever I was younger. Back in my day,
I know it, but it's a thing now, and it is cold enough that I wonder if school will be back in session. I know they're not in today,
sure.
But I wonder if the kids are going to get a 4-day weekend, and they sure do seem to get a few more of those than even when I was around. I will tell you this much. So, well, Brett, I would love to start with how you got your start with Central Cremation Center, maybe why you got your start, and if you would, just tell the listeners and really myself just a little bit more about you.
Sure. Will do, Grayson. So Central Cremation Center is a locally owned small business here in Central Illinois. We're based out of Forsyth, which is just about a mile or so north of Decatur. And the idea for it came from the two owners, Tom Cantwell and Jason Murphy. They both had the wherewithal and the resources to come together and have a thought that says, you know, that these types of places are very popular and very prevalent down south, where, you know, maybe snowbirds go or retirees, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were starting to see more of an uptick in the fact that cremation was becoming a more popular choice for final arrangements. And with that, and these, I'll say, these pop-up cremation centers, it was only a matter of time, really, before something like that was going to happen here. And both of those two were working for a corporate funeral group. And, you know, if you've ever worked for corporate rule, you know that you get tired of playing by somebody else's rules, especially whenever they don't really make sense for what you're doing right here. But it makes sense for whatever's going on in another state and another time zone and so on and so forth. So, you know, they made a decision to venture out together, start their own business. And that was in the year of 2021. So this is past COVID in terms of the 2020 year. And then by, November of 21, they had opened their doors. And I came on in mid-August of the following year in 22. I had communications with both of those guys. And I was also working in radio at the time out of the Decatur area, a couple of stations up north. But we talked about some ideas and how we can work things, because things were really starting to get very busy for them, and they needed some extra hands and some extra help. So that's where I was able to step in and take on some of that responsibility and move myself into the position that I've had now for what'll be 2.5 years next month.
So maybe a familiar voice out there for some. I did not know that about your background. Very cool. I think you have a distinct voice.
My Decatur radio jacket. This is the only jacket that I have that'll sustain this type of cold condition out there, so I still wear it. They didn't ask for it back when I left.
Hey, there you go. As hey, they didn't ask for it, I'd still wear it too if everything left on good terms. Well,
keep that shirt. Don't make sure Randy doesn't take that back from me.
Well, Randy, hopefully you heard that out there. Brett, I would love to know, you mentioned that its popularity is increasing with cremation. That was something that was already a thing, more so down south, you mentioned, and now it's made its way up here. Could you explain that shift from down south to up here, and maybe why cremation has become such a popular option?
not so much just cremation, but the cremation centers that we offer, the direct cremation. So
Okay.
by that, it is different than the traditional cremation or the traditional funeral service, to where for those who are familiar with the traditional aspect of it, somebody passes away. Within a day or two, you are getting together and having a visitation from 4 to 6 p.m. or 5 to 7, and then the very next day there is a funeral that takes place with a service, and then you go to the graveside,
Right.
and then you have the committal at the graveside, and you're writing, the person's in a very nice casket, and they're writing in a hearse, and so on and so forth. Those are all still common practices today. Don't get me wrong, but the desire for that is a little bit less, knowing that this type of an offering is available. And for the fact that everything that I mentioned about the traditional side of ways, that costs a lot of money in today's world, whether you have life insurance or not, that can cover and foot that bill. However, for folks such as us at Central Cremation Center, the goal of things is to keep the costs down. People are available, and they can still have everything that I just mentioned. We can even handle a traditional funeral, and at a very significant discounted cost of that of the traditional funeral and funeral homes. But more people are starting to go the route of the mindset of I can be cremated. Family can do a celebration of life at a time that's convenient for everybody. And then a day like today, are you really going to enjoy going out to a graveside committal and the equipment that it's going to take to be able to thaw the ground and to be able to prepare the hole and so on? You can do that in a day when it's in April or May and it's a beautiful day and it's much nicer outside, and you can wear short sleeves and afterwards you can all go out for lunch together after that. Those are things that you can do with cremation that you can't do in the standard setting of things. So that's another reason why this has become such a popular thought for individuals at this point in the game.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. There was a recent obituary where she even said as much. I wouldn't expect my family, I wouldn't expect myself to go out in this cold. And so that is an interesting thought there as well, that you can maybe not post plan, but you can push that back just a little bit and celebrate at a time that maybe even more individuals could even be there at your service as well. So we've talked about the popularity of it a little bit and how it's increased. What are some of the planning services that you offer, even in terms of pre-planning and getting somebody prepared for that next step?
Pre-planning is an important step, I think, in terms of, especially if you're a parent, and they could be grown kids and so on, not necessarily young kids and teenagers or whatever, but, making sure that you have your preparation done so that they don't have to do that for you. That's the most adult parent-like thing you can do, kind of like what you did as a parent, making sure that they had a roof over their head and that they had food to eat and things to drink and school and all the things that kids are after these days and age. That's an important factor as well, is making sure that everything is taken care of and planned out so that they don't have to have that sort of a thought on their head, because they're probably not really thinking about it. They either perhaps maybe suddenly lost a parent, or if it was a long battle with an illness and they finally succumbed to it. Those types of things there are the things that, some people don't really take into thought until after they say, okay, what funeral home have you chosen? Where are we going to wind up delivering this person to, or who do we need to call? And at that point in time, you're like, oh gosh, now there's something else I have to worry about. So if somebody else is able to already have that taken care of, the pre-plan is prepared, you can even pay ahead, lock in your costs. So hopefully for you, many years down the road, decades, in fact, you've already locked in the cost. And of course, as everything does, costs rise and they go up. You're not going to have to pay a penny more, or your family will not have to pay a penny more, because you'll already be locked in at our already low costs.
That is another just key factor to it,
Sure.
Another little piece to it. My question to you is, in your time now, nearly 2.5 years, what could you say about the grieving process for the family? Do you believe that because of that pre-planning, it allows you to go into that stage of grief that much easier? What have you seen in terms of its help for your family in their process of seeing your loss of life?
So with pre-planning, and it doesn't always have to be the situation like I used to where it's a perfectly healthy person. They're just planning ahead. If it's the fact that somebody is on hospice care and their time is indeed running short, and the hospice provider has said, you may want to really have a thought process in mind, and they end up calling us after doing some research or hearing about us, however it is done, and we can have everything handled then. The one thing that I always like to tell people is after the paperwork has been done, and let's say that you've made the payment in full or whatever the arrangement's going to be, that's one fewer thing you have to do when that passing occurs. You don't have to come in and sign something else or go through more things. Everything's already done. So whether that person has, still a month remaining, or if they're able to perform and be on the rebound and be able to, get back to being healthy and still have a little bit more time left. Again, all of that stuff is already covered and done with, and you don't have to come back in and go through it anymore. So the fact that you can already have everything completed, wiped out and finished, so that when that time comes, you can spend that time for you or for your family and do the grieving, Grayson, that you just talked about. That's an important step for really anybody. I like to think, for me, I'm a very light person. I like to keep things very light, laugh a little bit, tell a joke here and there, try to keep things loose, because I'm not dressed in a suit and a tie here, am I? I mean, I'm dressed to, I'm wearing jeans and a sweatshirt today because of how cold it is. So you're not going to get somebody who's rugged and stiff who's going to sit there and have a conversation with you about it and be, just as straight as this beautiful Silver Dome Award is here that I never got to win in my time. But beside that, just the fact that you can have a little bit of compassion, maybe try to make somebody feel better with a smile on their face, or let them know that this process is very simple and easy. It does not need to take all day or a couple hours. We can have you in and out of there in half an hour, maybe an hour.
A big difference. And I think that just taking one, because we fail to realize how many things that need to be taken care of, how many accounts and how many different things need that attention after somebody passes away. And so I think that just makes it that much easier on you, especially if that pre-planning process has already taken place. Well, Brett, we'll take our first break of the show. Again, Brett Surfowski, he is Public Relations Director for Central Cremation Center, and we will come back around to him in the second segment of the WTIM Morning Show, brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, as well as People's Bank and Trust.
Your information station, WTIM.
The Christian County Economic Development Corporation is a not-for-profit organization whose mission is to promote the creation and retention of jobs and to increase the economic tax base through the development, establishment, and expansion of commerce and industry in the Christian County area. I'm Matt Hart, CCEDC's new Executive Director. I'm here to work with existing county employers as well as develop relationships towards creating new jobs in our county. Feel free to reach out to me, Matt Hart, by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Springfield Clinic Taylorville Walk-In is open from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. Here's Dr. Pavi Gill with more details.
Our walk-in clinic is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday to address your minor illnesses and injuries. No appointment necessary. Whether you need a quick checkup or urgent care, just walk in and get the care you need when you need it.
There you have it. For convenient same-day care, visit Springfield Clinic Taylorville Walk-In at 600 North Main Street.
Cold weather got your joints and muscles tense? Let Southern Ledge Pools and Patios in Taylorville help you find relief this winter. Stop in today and let our experienced staff show you our new Aspen hot tubs. Experience superior quality, innovative features, and a spa experience like no other. Whether you're unwinding after a long day or easing muscle tension, Aspen hot tubs are built for comfort and relaxation. Visit Southern Ledge Pools and Patios today. Let us help you find the perfect hot tub for your home and start relaxing in style.
Hi, everyone. Nicole Patrick here. your new local country financial representative at 917 West Bresser in Taylorville. I'm proud to recognize the Tornado student athletes that represent our community by being the exclusive sponsor of the WTIM Nicole Patrick Country Financial Player of the Game. During Tornado sports broadcasts this school year, WTIM announcers will select a player at the end of each game who will receive a certificate for being named our Player of the Game. Good luck to all the teams this season, and go Tornadoes!
Seeing is believing, and your new customers can now hear and see your message. Deliver your message on our 6 Miller Media Group radio stations. And now, potential customers will see your message on our new 36 by 72-inch two-sided electronic sign installed in front of our Taylorville studios on Illinois Route 29. You have the opportunity of having your message seen by over 11,200 drivers a day. Contact your Miller Media Group account manager today and deliver your message through your potential customers' ears and eyes.
To learn more about Rolling Meadows Senior Living in Taylorville and the apartments they have available, click on their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Jansen's Heating and Air is the home of Dr. Comfort, focusing on customer care for heating and air conditioning across Central Illinois for some 35 years. Find out their services, specials, and coupons by clicking their icon on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
And we're back with the WTIM morning show here, well, this morning with Brett Surfowski.
On Martin Luther King Day.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's Brett's radio side coming out of him here. And WTIM morning show is brought to you by People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm Grayson Bauman, and Brett Surfowski, Public Relations Director with Central Cremation Center, is here with us. Brett, let's turn the page. We talked a little bit about the services, why pre-planning can be important for some, and also why it can also help you and your loved ones in that time of grief. But let's talk a little bit about people's pets. People have really begun loving those loyal companions of theirs, and this is a newer service that you're offering, so I'd love to hear more about it.
You betcha. Have you ever heard the phrase cross the rainbow bridge?
I have not.
That is the instance that people will use on social media or whatever to describe that their pet has died.
Crossing the rainbow bridge.
Crossing the rainbow bridge.
I still am not sure if I know exactly what that means.
I don't know either.
So you're okay as long as you're still in the
I am
the dark on
completely I'm completely lost as to where that phrase came from. I'm sure I could Google it, but we don't have that kind of time, Grayson. So crossing the rainbow bridge is something that people say whenever their pet has passed away, and when that time has come, our phone will ring. Our phone would ring before we even offered the pet cremation service at the very end of July or early August of 24. And, you know, always asking, do you guys do pet cremations? Do you guys? And we were not equipped for that yet. It takes an entirely separate machine.
Okay.
You cannot use the same machine for pets as you can people. That is a big rule, and you have to follow that. So we had to have an entirely new machine come in that does the cremation for pets. And it can hold up to roughly about 400 pounds. So we're not talking about being able to back in a wagon that's got a horse or anything on it. So, you know, we're pretty much working with, you know, the dogs and the cats, rabbits, typical household pets. We do have an arrangement made with a pet clinic out of Decatur who, you know, they for all of the pets that they receive that have either unfortunately had to face euthanizing or if they've just passed away, we will go there once a week and receive those pets and then perform the cremations. If they choose to have the pet returned, we certainly call the family and let them know they can pick it up at our office, or if they do not wish to have the remains returned, we, of course, just leave things be. They're probably upset enough and don't want to hear anything more about it. So, but for individuals, you know, we pre-plan pets as well. So if you want to go ahead and make sure that everything is in order prior to, we certainly do that on our website, centralcremationcenter.com. You're going to love this, Grayson. We offer pet obituaries.
I'm reading that here, and I was going to ask you a free obituary included with your service there.
So you if anybody knows it, and I'm not knocking them in any way, shape, or form, but newspapers in today's world, obituaries just either from the basic notice or a full story can cost quite a bit of money. We're talking a good chunk of change here to be able to tell a person's story. Through our website, that cost is included with the final price tag. So, you've looked at it here. I brought in the sheet here. So the pricing from 0 up to 20 pounds is $150, and then $50 increments all the way up to 76 pounds or more is $300. So then you can, if you wish, you could write an obituary, talk about the pet, if it was a rescue, if it's somebody who rescued you, so to speak, and you can include pictures and things like that and tell the story of the pet, just as you would if it was a human family member. As we know, these pets are part of the family.
They are.
So whether it's dogs, cats, hamsters, whatever the case may be, that they deserve to be memorialized in some way, shape, or form just as well. But now offering pet services, we can either come to the home if the person is not able to bring the pet to us. Okay. There is going to be an extra charge for that, of course. And then, we can take care of things up at the office whenever the pet is to be picked back up or however things work. But it's become a very popular service, and people have really latched onto it and are very glad that there is an option, because people wish to hold on to their pets just as they would the humans. And you and I talked about it before. We have a selection of pet urns that they can put on the bookcase and on the mantle and sit up there just like they would right next to Grandma and Grandpa.
Well, Brett, I appreciate you stopping in here today with Central Cremation Center.
Thank
Brett
you, Grace.
is the public relations director over there, and you've been listening to the WTIM Morning Show here on WTIM, your information station.
Public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone